I was carrying my mother's birthday cake toward the dining table when my father's voice cut through the party chatter. In 2 days, we will be moving into that house. 40 guests turned silent. I froze, knowing exactly which house he meant. Mine, the Victorian. I spent 3 years renovating with my own hands after my divorce. My voice shook. Is that true? He shrugged. We will talk after the cake. My mother smiled coldly beside him. I set down the cake and walked straight out the door before anyone could light the candles. My hands trembled on the steering wheel as I drove home through the dark suburban streets. The streetlights blurred past while my mind raced, trying to make sense of what just happened. My father's casual announcement, my mother's cold smile. The way every relative in that room had stared at me like I was the villain in some story I did not even know I was part of. I pulled into the driveway of my house and sat there for a moment, staring at the front porch. This Victorian house was more than property to me. It was proof that I survived. 2 years ago, I walked away from an abusive marriage with nothing but a $50,000 divorce settlement and a soul so broken I could barely function. I found this house, saw past the peeling paint and rotted floors, and decided it would be my project, my healing. For 3 years, I taught myself carpentry by watching videos online. I learned plumbing by trial and error, flooding the basement twice before I got it right. I rewired the electrical system with my own hands, reading manuals until 2 in the morning. Every wall I painted, every floor I refinished, every window I replaced was another piece of myself I put back together. This house saved my life. And now my father thought he could just take it. Inside, I dropped my purse on the kitchen counter and tried to breathe. My phone buzzed. 17 missed calls from my older sister, Grace. I called her back. Myra. Oh my God, finally, Grace answered, her voice thick with tears. I have been trying to reach you for an hour. What is happening? I asked. Did you know about this? No. I swear I did not know they were going to announce it like that. But Myra, they have been telling everyone for weeks that you agreed to this. They said you were giving them the house. The floor seemed to tilt beneath me. What? Mom told Aunt Linda last month that you volunteered to move back into your old bedroom at their place so they could have a nicer home for their retirement. She said you insisted because you felt guilty about having such a big house all to yourself. I never said any of that. Grace, I would never give up this house. I know that now, but they made it sound so believable. They said you were being generous and selfless. Everyone at the party tonight thought they were just announcing something you all already agreed on. I sank into a kitchen chair, my legs suddenly unable to hold me. My parents had been building a narrative, planting seeds with my extended family, making me look like a liar before I even knew I needed to defend myself. Grace, this is my house. I bought it with my divorce money. I have the deed. They cannot just take it. I know, but Myra, there is more. Grace's voice dropped to a whisper. They filed paperwork today. I saw the documents when I went to their house after the party. They are suing you. Suing me for what? Elder financial abuse. They are claiming you tricked them into giving you $20,000 for the down payment, and now you are refusing to let them live in the house they helped buy. My stomach lurched. They never gave me a single penny for this house. Not $1. I believe you, but they have some kind of documentation. I do not know what it is, but it looked official. A loud knock on my front door made me jump. Through the window, I could see a man on my porch holding a clipboard. Grace, someone is at my door. At 11 at night? I approached cautiously and opened the door. The man looked bored, like this was just another job. Myra Henderson? Yes, you have been served. He handed me a manila envelope and walked away. My hands shook as I tore it open. Legal documents. A lawsuit filed by my parents just 3 hours ago. Claims of financial elder abuse, fraud, breach of verbal contract. A court hearing scheduled in 6 days. And at the bottom, a bold statement that they were seeking immediate possession of the property located at my address pending the outcome of the case. Myra, what is it? Grace was still on the phone. They served me with a lawsuit. Grace, they did this at the same time as the party. The announcement was strategic. They told everyone the house should be theirs before they even gave me these papers. Oh, God. Myra, I am so sorry. I had no idea they were this calculated. I read through the documents again, my legal training from 2 semesters of paralegal school trying to kick in through my panic. They were claiming they gave me $20,000 in cash 2 years ago with the verbal understanding that the house would belong to all of us, that I would let them live there in their retirement. They said I had reneged on the agreement and was now refusing them access to their own investment. It was all lies, every single word, but it was clever lies, the kind that would be hard to disprove because cash transactions leave no paper trail. Who could prove they never gave me money? "Myra, what are you going to do?" Grace asked. "I do not know. I need a lawyer. That costs money." "I know." I thought about my savings account. $4,000. That was all I had left after finishing the renovations last month. I had no idea how much lawyers cost for something like this, but I knew it would be more than $4,000. I hung up with Grace and spent the rest of the night sitting at my kitchen table, surrounded by paperwork. My deed was clear. The property was in my name only. The mortgage was in my name only. I had bank statements showing the $50,000 divorce settlement deposited into my account, and then the down payment coming directly from that account. Everything was legitimate and documented. But as the sun came up on what was now day 1 of my 48-hour countdown, I realized that legitimacy might not be enough. My parents had just taught me something terrifying. The truth does not matter if you control the narrative. I barely slept. By 7 in the morning, I was calling lawyers, working my way down a list I found online. The first attorney's receptionist quoted me a $5,000 retainer just to start. The second wanted $7,000. The third actually laughed when I said I only had $4,000 to my name. "Honey, family law cases involving property disputes start at $10,000, and that is, if it goes smoothly," she said. "You are looking at $15,000 to $20,000 if this goes to trial." I did not have $15,000 to $20,000. I did not even have 10. My renovations had drained every penny I had saved, and I was living paycheck to paycheck from my job as a medical billing specialist. By 9 in the morning, I had called 8 lawyers and gotten nowhere. I tried explaining to my extended family what was really happening, calling aunts and uncles and cousins who had been at the party. Nobody believed me. Aunt Linda, my mother's sister, actually yelled at me over the phone. "How dare you try to turn this around on your parents? They gave you everything growing up, and this is how you repay them? By stealing their money and their future?" "I did not steal anything. They never gave me any money. Your mother told me all about the $20,000. She showed me her bank statements with the withdrawal. That stopped me cold." "She showed you bank statements?" "Yes. From 2 years ago. A $20,000 withdrawal right before you bought that house." I hung up and sat very still. My mother had bank statements showing a withdrawal. That meant this was even more premeditated than I thought. They withdrew money from their own account to create a paper trail, probably moved it right back in after, but now they had documentation to support their lies. My cousin Bethany posted on social media, "Some people abandon their aging parents the second they do not need them anymore. Disgusting behavior." She did not name me, but everyone knew who she meant. 3 other cousins shared the post. By noon, my phone would not stop buzzing with messages. Half were from relatives telling me I should be ashamed. The other half were from former friends asking if the rumors were true. I stopped responding. At 2 in the afternoon, I drove to my parents' house. I had to confront them directly, try to understand what they wanted, see if there was any way to fix this before it destroyed me completely. My mother answered the door with a sad, wounded expression that looked rehearsed. "Myra, sweetie, I am so glad you came. We need to talk about this misunderstanding." "There is no misunderstanding, Mom. You are lying about giving me money. You know you never gave me a cent." She flinched like I had slapped her, and my father appeared behind her, his face hard. "Do not speak to your mother that way. We are trying to handle this like adults. Adults do not file lawsuits 3 hours after making public announcements at birthday parties." He stepped onto the porch, closing the door behind him so we were alone outside. His voice dropped low, almost a growl. "You have until tomorrow evening to transfer the deed. Sign over the house, and we will drop the lawsuit. Refuse, and we will take everything. We will show everyone what kind of daughter you really are. I am not signing anything. That house is mine. Then you will lose it in court. We have documentation. We have witnesses. We have bank statements. You have what? A piece of paper that says your name? That will not be enough when we show the judge how you manipulated and defrauded us. Before I could respond, a car pulled into the driveway. My younger brother Connor got out, and my heart lifted slightly. Connor and I had always been close. He was only 2 years younger than me, and we had protected each other growing up in this house. He would understand. He would help me. Connor, thank God you are here, I said. You need to hear what they are doing. But Connor did not look at me with the warmth I expected. He looked uncomfortable, almost angry. I already know what is happening, Myra. I know everything. Then you know they are lying, right? You know I never took money from them. He shook his head slowly. Actually, I know you did. The world tilted. What? Connor reached into his jacket and pulled out a folded paper. He opened it, and I saw my signature at the bottom of a typed letter. Except I had never seen that letter before in my life. This is your signature, right? Connor asked. The one I notarized 6 months ago? I stared at the document. It was dated 6 months ago and laid out an agreement where I supposedly acknowledged receiving $20,000 from my parents with the understanding that they would move into my house within 2 years. The signature looked exactly like mine. The notary stamp at the bottom was real, with Connor's name and number clearly printed. I never signed that, I whispered. Yes, you did. I watched you sign it. I notarized it myself. Connor, you know that is not true. You became a notary public 6 months ago, but I have never asked you to notarize anything. His jaw tightened. Stop lying, Myra. I was there. You signed it right in front of me. My father's expression was triumphant. My mother had tears in her eyes, but they looked fake, practiced. And my brother, my little brother, who I had protected from bullies in middle school, who I had tutored through college algebra, who I had helped move into his first apartment, was standing there telling me a lie that would destroy my life. Connor, please, I said. Why are you doing this? Because they need this more than you do. You already got your divorce money. You have had your fresh start. They have nothing for retirement. You are being selfish. They are lying to you. They have money. They are not broke. My father cut in. We are done discussing this. 48 hours, Myra. Sign over the deed by tomorrow evening, or lose everything in court, and now you know your brother will testify against you. We have documentation, witnesses, and proof. You have nothing but your pride. Connor looked away from me, and I knew in that moment that I had lost him. Whatever they had told him, whatever they had promised him or threatened him with, had worked. My brother would stand in court and swear under oath that I had signed that forged letter. A notarized document with witness testimony would be almost impossible to fight. I drove home in a daze. The deadline was now less than 30 hours away. I had no lawyer, no money, a forged document with my brother's false testimony backing it up, and an entire family who believed I was a thief and a liar. When I pulled into my driveway, I sat in the car for a long time, staring at the house I had built with my own hands. Every shingle on that roof, every pane of glass in those windows, every board on that porch, I had put it all there myself. And they were going to take it from me. I could not stay inside the house. It felt like the walls were closing in. I needed answers. Needed to understand why this was happening now. Why they had targeted me so specifically. So I called Grace again, and this time I did not let her deflect. Grace, I need you to tell me the truth. All of it. Why are they doing this? What are they not telling me? Silence on the other end? Then a long, shaky breath. If I tell you, you cannot say where you heard it. Grace, they already filed a lawsuit. It does not matter anymore. I need to know what I am fighting. Another pause. Then, quietly, they are not broke, Myra. They have money. A lot of it. What are you talking about? They told everyone they are struggling. Grandpa died 8 months ago. You knew that. But what you did not know is that he left them everything. $150,000. I nearly dropped the phone. $150,000? Grace, I went to the funeral. Nobody said anything about an inheritance. Because they did not want anyone to know. They kept it secret, said Grandpa did not leave much. But I saw the probate documents. Mom left them on the kitchen table one day when I was visiting. I was not supposed to see them, but I did. $150,000, Myra. They got it all. Then why are they coming after my house? If they have that much money, they do not need mine. They bought a beach condo in Florida, used it as an investment property. They were going to rent it out, make passive income for their retirement, but the condo has foundation problems. They discovered it last month. The whole building is sinking. Repairs are going to cost $90,000, and they are on the hook for their unit share. The pieces clicked into place in my head. So they cannot sell it, and they cannot afford to fix it. Right. They are stuck with a property they cannot use and cannot unload. Their retirement plan collapsed, so they decided to cut their losses. If they take your house, they can live there for free and rent out their current house for income. It solves all their financial problems by destroying my life. Myra, I am so sorry. I wanted to tell you sooner, but they promised to pay for my daughter's college tuition if I stayed quiet. Emma starts at the university in the fall. Tuition is $30,000 a year. I do not have that kind of money. They said if I helped them, they would cover all 4 years. I closed my eyes. They had bought Grace's silence with her daughter's future. They had bought Connor's cooperation with something, probably a similar bribe or threat. They had isolated me completely, turned my own siblings into weapons against me. Why me? I asked. They could have asked to live with you or Connor. You were the weakest target. You are divorced, you live alone, you do not have kids. You were already kind of estranged from some of the family because of your ex-husband. They figured nobody would fight too hard for you. And they were right. Look how fast everyone turned on you. She was right. I had been strategically selected, assessed as the family member least likely to have support, most likely to crumble under pressure. It was calculated and cold and absolutely terrifying in its precision. We hung up, and I spent the rest of the afternoon trying to process what I had learned. My parents were not desperate. They were not even struggling, really. They had made a bad investment and decided to fix it by taking everything I had built. They had weaponized my entire family against me. They had forged documents and bought false testimony. And they had given me 48 hours to surrender or be destroyed. At 6 p.m, my phone dinged with an email. It was from my homeowner's insurance company. Dear Miss Henderson, your homeowner's insurance policy has been canceled effective immediately. Reason: property ownership in dispute per legal notification from claimants. Per our policy terms, we cannot provide coverage for properties involved in active litigation regarding ownership. If this matter is resolved, you may reapply for coverage. I read it 3 times before the full impact hit me. My parents had somehow gotten my insurance canceled. My house, with $180,000 still owed on the mortgage, was now completely uninsured. If anything happened to it, a fire, a storm, a break-in, I would be liable for all damages with no coverage. 10 minutes later, my phone rang. It was my mortgage company. Miss Henderson, this is Derek from Premier Mortgage Services. We are calling regarding a claim filed against your property. We have been notified by 2 individuals claiming to be co-owners of the property located at your address. They have stated that you forged documents to obtain the mortgage fraudulently, and that they are listed on the deed but were not included in the mortgage application. We are opening an investigation immediately. That is not true, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. I am the sole owner. They are not on the deed. This is part of a harassment campaign. Nevertheless, we are required to investigate any claims of fraud. Your mortgage account will be frozen pending the outcome of our investigation. You will still be required to make payments, but you will not be able to access your home equity line of credit or make any changes to the account until this is resolved. How long will the investigation take? 4 to 6 weeks, typically. However, if we find evidence of fraudulent activity, the entire loan could be called due immediately. You would have 30 days to pay the full balance or face foreclosure. $180,000 in 30 days. Impossible. Completely impossible. If the investigation finds in your favor, Derek continued, everything will return to normal. But I have to advise you that foreclosure proceedings can move quickly if the finding goes the other way. I hung up and stared at the wall. They had attacked every angle. My insurance was gone. My mortgage was in jeopardy. My family believed their lies. I had no lawyer and no money to get one. and the deadline was now less than 24 hours away. I had never felt so completely trapped in my entire life. Every door I tried to open slammed shut in my face. Every solution I tried to pursue led to a worse problem. It was like being in quicksand, where every movement to escape just pulled me down faster. My parents had not just attacked me. They had laid siege to my entire life, systematically dismantling every support structure I had until I was completely isolated and vulnerable. And they had done it all in less than 48 hours. I sat on my living room floor, surrounded by paperwork I could not afford to fight with, in a house I might lose to foreclosure even if I won the lawsuit, and I finally let myself cry. Big, ugly, gasping sobs that came from somewhere deep in my chest where I had been storing 3 years' worth of survival and strength. When I was done crying, I looked around at the house I had built. The crown molding I had installed myself. The hardwood floors I had refinished on my hands and knees. The built-in bookshelves I had designed and constructed from scratch. This was my home, my sanctuary, my proof that I could survive anything. And I was not going to let them take it without a fight. I did not sleep that night. By 6 in the morning, I had made a decision. If the system would not help me, I would have to help myself. I got dressed and drove to the police station. The officer at the desk looked tired, like he had been working the night shift and was ready to go home. I explained the situation as clearly as I could. The forged signature, the false notarization, the systematic fraud. He listened patiently, took notes, and then said the words that made my stomach drop. "Ma'am, this sounds like a civil property dispute. The courts have to sort out who owns what. We cannot make arrests based on document disputes without clear proof of criminal intent. But my brother forged a notarization. That is a crime, right? If it is true, yes. But he is saying he witnessed you sign the document. That is his word against yours. A judge needs to determine who is telling the truth. That is not a police matter. So there is nothing you can do?" He gave me a sympathetic look that I was starting to hate. My advice? Try to work it out with your family. Sometimes keeping the peace is worth more than being right about a house. Family is important. I walked out of the police station feeling more hopeless than when I walked in. The people whose job it was to stop fraud and forgery were telling me to just give up and let my parents steal my house, because family matters more than justice. I drove to the county records office next, thinking maybe I could file some kind of emergency motion to protect my deed. The clerk at the window was polite, but firm. I set down the cake and walked straight out the door before anyone could light the candles. But the hearing is in 5 days. And they are saying I have to give them the house by tonight, or they will ruin me in court. She gave me the same sympathetic look the police officer had given me. "I am sorry, but there is nothing I can do. You need legal representation." I sat in my car in the parking lot and screamed. Actually screamed, loud and raw, until my throat hurt. Every single door was closed. Every single avenue for help was blocked. The system I thought would protect me was instead telling me to surrender to people who were committing fraud. When I got home, I noticed a car in my driveway. My parents' car. Panic flooded through me. I rushed inside and found them in my living room with Connor. They were measuring the walls with a tape measure, talking about where their furniture would go. "Get out," I said. "Get out of my house right now." My father turned around with a casual smile. "In 24 hours, this is our house. We are just planning ahead. Connor still has his key from when he helped you with the renovations. We figured you would not mind." "I mind. Get out before I call the police." My mother tesked. "Myra, do not be dramatic. We are family. We are allowed to visit. This is breaking and entering." Connor held up his key. "I have a key. I did not break in. And you gave me that key, which means you gave me permission to be here." They were twisting everything, finding loopholes in common sense, exploiting the fact that I had once trusted them enough to give my brother a key. I was so angry I could barely speak. "You have 5 minutes to get out, or I swear I will call the police and file charges." My father's smile disappeared. "You are making a huge mistake. Sign the deed over tonight and we can all move on. Refuse, and you will regret it." My mother added more gently, "Sweetie, we are not trying to hurt you. We just need some help in our old age. You should be grateful we raised you in a nice home. Now it is your turn to take care of us." That is how families work. You can stay in your old bedroom at our place. We kept it exactly the way you left it. It will be just like old times." The condescension in her voice, the casual cruelty, made me want to throw something. They were gaslighting me, trying to make their theft sound like a reasonable request, like I was the selfish one for not wanting to hand over everything I had. They left, finally, but the damage was done. They had been in my space, touching my things, planning their takeover. My home did not feel safe anymore. In desperation, I called someone I never thought I would speak to again. My ex, husband's sister, Lauren. She was a paralegal at a law firm, and even though she and I had not spoken since the divorce, I hoped she might at least look at my documents and tell me if I had any chance at all. She answered on the third ring, surprised to hear from me. I explained everything as quickly as I could. "Send me photos of all the documents," she said. "I will look at them tonight." 2 hours later, she called me back. I could tell from her tone that the news was not good. "Myra, I am so sorry, but this is bad. The forged letter, combined with your brother's testimony, combined with the financial abuse lawsuit, creates enough reasonable doubt that a judge might rule against you even though you have a legitimate deed. Family court judges are very protective of elderly parents. They will lean toward believing your parents if there is any ambiguity. So I am going to lose? I do not know. But it is a real possibility. You need a very good lawyer, and you need to be prepared for the possibility that this goes badly. I do not have money for a lawyer. Then you need to think very seriously about whether fighting this is worth it. If you lose in court, you lose the house and get stuck with legal fees. If you sign over the deed now, at least you avoid the legal costs. But it is my house. I know. And I am not saying you should give up. I am just saying you need to understand the risks." After we hung up, I sat at my kitchen table and opened my laptop. I needed to check my bank account, see if there was any possible way I could scrape together lawyer money. Maybe a credit card cash advance. Maybe a personal loan. Anything. I logged into my bank account and stared at the screen in confusion. The balance showed negative $8,000. That was impossible. I had $4,000 that morning. I checked the transaction history and felt my blood go cold. 3 checks had been cashed yesterday. Each one was made out to cash for amounts totaling $12,000. My account was overdrawn by $8,000 because I did not have enough to cover the fraudulent checks. I called the bank immediately. The fraud department representative listened to my story and then delivered more bad news. The checks were cashed at a check cashing store with valid identification. The person who cashed them presented an ID with your name on it. We will investigate, but that process takes 10 to 15 business days. I need that money back now. I did not write those checks. We understand, but we have to follow proper procedures. The investigation will determine if fraud occurred, and then we will restore your funds if appropriate. In the meantime, you are responsible for the overdraft. I remembered my parents and Connor in my house earlier. My checkbook had been in my desk drawer. They must have taken checks. And my mother was my height, my build, similar appearance. With a fake ID, she could have passed for me at a check cashing store that did not look too carefully. I was now $8,000 in debt, on top of everything else. The bank investigation would not finish until long after my 48-hour deadline. They had stolen my money and framed me for elder abuse simultaneously. I had no money, no family support, no legal help, no insurance. My mortgage was under investigation. And in less than 12 hours, my parents expected me to sign over my house or face complete destruction in court. I put my head down on the table and tried to breathe. This was the darkest moment of my entire life, worse even than my abusive marriage, because at least then I had hope of escape. Now I was trapped in a nightmare with no exit, surrounded by people who were supposed to love me, but instead were systematically destroying me. The house I had built with my own hands, the house that had saved my life, was being ripped away from me, and there was absolutely nothing I could do to stop it. Midnight came and went. I sat in my living room with all the lights off, staring at the walls I had painted, the floors I had refinished, the windows I had replaced. 14 hours until the deadline. 14 hours until my parents expected me to surrender everything. Part of me wanted to give up, to sign the papers, walk away, start over somewhere else. Let them have the house if it meant ending this nightmare. But every time I thought about actually doing it, about putting my signature on a quitclaim deed and handing them the keys, something inside me rebelled. This house was not just property. It was every night I spent watching renovation tutorials instead of sleeping. Every weekend I spent at the hardware store instead of relaxing. Every blister on my hands from sanding floors, every ache in my back from installing cabinets, every moment of learning and growing and becoming someone who could build something from nothing. If I gave them this house, I was not just losing walls and a roof. I was losing proof that I survived, proof that I was strong, proof that I could take something broken and make it beautiful again. I turned on the lights and pulled out my phone. If I was going down, I was at least going to tell the truth. Let people see what really happened, even if they did not believe me, even if it changed nothing. I started documenting everything. I took photos of my deed, my mortgage statements, my bank records showing the $50,000 divorce settlement that I used for the down payment. I photographed the timeline of events. I wrote out a detailed account of everything that had happened in the last 48 hours. While I was organizing my files, I found something I had completely forgotten about. A letter, tucked into a folder of old documents, certified mail from 8 months ago. I opened it and started reading. It was from someone named Robert Morrison, a financial advisor. The letter was addressed to my parents, but it had been mailed to my address by mistake. The advisor must have had old records showing my parents had lived here briefly during my renovations when their house was being fumigated. I had opened it by accident, thought it was junk mail, and filed it away without thinking much about it. But now, reading it carefully, I realized what I was holding. Dear Mr. and Mrs. Henderson, per your request, we have transferred $150,000 from your inheritance account to your checking account, as discussed in our meeting last week. Please find enclosed the complete transaction details and account statements. If you have any questions about managing these funds for your retirement planning, please do not hesitate to contact our office. The letter included full account numbers, transaction dates, and a detailed breakdown of the money transfer. This was proof. Solid, official, documented proof that my parents had received a massive inheritance 8 months ago. It completely destroyed their claim that they were broke and desperately needed my house. I also found something else while cleaning up earlier. A receipt that had fallen out of my mother's purse when they were in my house that afternoon. A receipt from a check, cashing store, dated yesterday, with a timestamp and location. The amount matched the fraudulent checks from my account. If that store had surveillance cameras, there would be footage of whoever cashed those checks. Footage that would prove it was not me. I had evidence, real, concrete evidence that could prove my parents were lying, but I had no time to use it properly. The courts would not convene on a Sunday. I could not file emergency motions without a lawyer. I could not subpoena surveillance footage on my own. The deadline was in less than 12 hours, and even if I had a smoking gun, I had no way to fire it, unless I took a completely different approach. At 9 in the morning, with 3 hours left before the noon deadline, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost did not answer, but something made me pick up. Is this Myra Henderson? A woman's voice, unfamiliar. Yes. Who is this? My name is Patricia Caldwell. I used to be your mother's best friend. We had a falling out about 5 years ago and have not spoken since. But I heard what is happening to you through the family grapevine, and I need to talk to you right now. I sat up straighter. Okay. Your mother did this exact same thing to me. She forged my signature on a loan document and stole $12,000 from me. I never reported it because I was terrified of her. She is a narcissist, Myra. A real one. She has been manipulating and destroying people for decades. Your father enables her, and your siblings follow her lead because they are too scared not to. My hand started shaking. You have proof? I kept everything. Every forged document, every threatening message, every piece of evidence from what she did to me. I have been holding on to it for 5 years, waiting for the right moment. When I heard she was doing this to you, I knew I had to speak up. I will testify for you. I will give you everything I have. I will help you prove she has a pattern of fraud. Hope flared in my chest. Can you come here? The deadline is in 3 hours. Silence. Then, Myra, I live in Oregon. I am on the West Coast. Even if I got on a plane right now, I could not get to you before your deadline. The hope died as quickly as it had come. Can you email me the documents? They are physical documents. Old papers, notarized statements, bank records. They need to be authenticated by a court. Email copies would not hold up legally. I need to bring them in person and testify to their authenticity. The court hearing is in 4 days. Could you come by then? Yes. I can fly out tomorrow and be there for your hearing. I will bring everything and testify about what your mother did to me. It will show the judge that she has a history of this behavior. I wanted to cry with frustration. I had the evidence to win. I had a witness who could corroborate that my mother was a serial fraudster. But the timing made it all useless for the immediate deadline my parents had set. Patricia, thank you. Seriously, thank you. I will send you my lawyer's contact information as soon as I get one. You do not have a lawyer yet? I cannot afford one. Then we will figure something else out. But Myra, listen to me carefully. Do not sign anything today. No matter what they threaten you with, do not give up your house. They are bullies, and bullies only win if you surrender. Fight them. Even if you think you will lose, fight them anyway. Make them work for it. Make them prove every single lie in court. After we hung up, I looked at the clock. 10 in the morning, 2 hours until the deadline. I had evidence that would win in court, but not in time to stop today's confrontation. I had a witness who could destroy my parents' credibility, but she was 3,000 miles away. I could sign over the house and end this nightmare right now. Or I could refuse, go to court with evidence that might arrive too late, and risk losing everything anyway. I thought about the police officer telling me family peace was more important than justice. I thought about the county clerk saying I needed a lawyer I could not afford. I thought about my own siblings betraying me for money and threats. Then I looked around at my house. My beautiful, hard-won, carefully built house. And I made my choice. I picked up my phone and called my father. He answered on the first ring. Myra. I assume you are calling to arrange the deed transfer. No. I am calling to tell you I will not be signing anything. You want my house? See me in court. You are making a terrible mistake. Maybe. But it is my mistake to make. Come after me if you want. Bring your forged documents and your bought testimony. I will see you in front of a judge. I hung up before he could respond. My hands were shaking, and I felt sick to my stomach, but I also felt something else. Something I had not felt in 2 days. I felt like myself again. The deadline came and went. Noon on Sunday. I sat on my front porch and waited to see what they would do. Would they show up? Would they make good on their threats? Would this be the end or just another escalation? At 12:15, my phone rang. It was Grace. Myra, please tell me you did not refuse them. I refused them. Oh God, Myra, they are planning something bad. I just heard them talking on the phone. They are going to break into your house when you are not there. They are going to move their stuff in and claim squatters' rights. Father said he will call the police and say you assaulted him when you tried to remove them. They are going to have you arrested. My stomach dropped. When? I do not know. Soon. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow. But Myra, I cannot let them do this anymore. I do not care about the college money. This is wrong. What they are doing to you is evil, and I have been helping them by staying quiet. I will testify for you. I will tell the judge everything I know about the inheritance money and the Florida condo and all their lies. I am done protecting them. Grace, they will cut you off completely. I know, but Emma will understand. We will figure out the college money some other way. I cannot live with myself if I let them destroy you. After we hung up, I immediately called the police non-emergency line. I explained the situation as calmly as I could. Ongoing property dispute, threats of forced entry, concerns about false accusations. The dispatcher said they would send an officer to my house at my request if I felt threatened. Can you send someone now? I think they might try something today. We can have an officer come by to document your concerns, but we cannot post someone at your house indefinitely. If you see them attempting to break in, call 911 immediately. It was something at least. I spent the afternoon setting up my phone to record continuously. I positioned it on a shelf in my living room with a clear view of the front door and main living area. I also set up my laptop in the kitchen to record from another angle. If they tried anything, I would have video evidence. At 6 in the evening, I heard a car in my driveway. I looked out the window and saw Connor's truck. He got out slowly, not looking toward the house. I opened the front door and stepped onto the porch. "Connor, if you are here to threaten me, you can leave right now." He looked up, and I was shocked to see that he had been crying. His eyes were red and puffy, his face blotchy. "I am not here to threaten you. I am here to apologize." I did not move. Apologize for what? For everything. For lying. For the fake notarization. For helping them hurt you. He walked closer, and I could see he was shaking. "Myra, they lied to me too. They told me you stole money from them, that you had tricked them and manipulated them, and I believed them because I wanted to believe them. Because it is easier to think you are the villain than to admit that our parents are monsters. You notarized a forged document, Connor. Do you understand what that means? You committed a crime to help them steal my house. I know, and I will face whatever consequences come from that. I saw the financial advisor's letter you sent to your mortgage company. They forwarded it to me because I am listed as a reference on some of your renovation permits. I know the truth now. They have money. They were never struggling. They used me to hurt you, and I let them because I was too cowardly to question them." He pulled an envelope from his jacket. I wrote a sworn statement admitting that I notarized a forged document. I am giving it to you to use in court. I will testify that the signature was forged, that I lied when I said I watched you sign it, and that our parents blackmailed me into helping them. Blackmailed you how? I had a DUI 5 years ago. I hid it from my employer because I would have been fired. They found out about it somehow and threatened to tell my boss if I did not help them. I was terrified of losing my job, so I did what they asked. But losing my job is better than losing my soul. I am so sorry, Myra. I am so incredibly sorry. I took the envelope but did not open it. Why should I believe you? You stood right here 2 days ago and told me you watched me sign that letter. Because I am not asking for forgiveness. I am asking for a chance to tell the truth, even if it destroys me. I know you might never trust me again, and I do not blame you. But I cannot let them take your house. Not when I know what they are really doing. Before I could respond, another car pulled up. A police cruiser. The officer I had called earlier got out and approached us. "Ma'am, you called about potential trespassing concerns?" "Yes, officer, thank you for coming." Connor stepped forward. "Officer, I need to report a crime. I notarized a forged document and provided false testimony in a property dispute. I am willing to give a full statement." The officer's eyebrows went up. "That is a serious accusation, sir. Are you sure you want to do this?" "I am sure." Everything shifted in that moment. A notary admitting to fraud was not a civil matter. It was criminal. The officer called for backup and a detective. Within 30 minutes, my front porch was full of law enforcement. Connor gave his statement, slowly and clearly, explaining everything he had done and why. Grace arrived and gave her own statement about the inheritance money and the lies our parents had told. I provided the financial advisor's letter, the check, cashing receipt, all my documentation. The detective looked through everything carefully. "This is enough for us to open a criminal investigation. But I need to ask, do you want to press charges?" I looked at Connor, who was standing there waiting to be arrested for what he had done. I looked at my house, the house I had built, the house they had tried to steal, and I thought about what justice really meant. I want my house protected, and I want compensation for the damages they have caused. But I do not want my brother arrested if he is willing to testify truthfully in my civil case. As for my parents, I will press charges if they do not agree to make this right." The detective nodded. "We will need to question your parents. Do you know where they are?" "Probably at home, or on their way here to break in, according to my sister. Then we will intercept them. Stay here. Do not let anyone into your house until we have spoken with them." An hour later, the detective called me. "Your parents are in custody. We found them 3 blocks from your address, with a locksmith and a moving truck full of furniture. They admitted they were planning to enter your house, with or without your permission, to establish residency. That constitutes attempted breaking and entering, among other charges. What happens now? They are being held pending charges: fraud, forgery, theft, attempted burglary. Based on the evidence you have provided, and the statements from your brother and sister. We have probable cause to charge them. However, you have another option. What option? You can negotiate a settlement. They agree to drop all claims to your house, pay restitution for damages, admit to their fraud, and stay away from you permanently. In exchange, you do not pursue criminal charges. It is up to you. I thought about it for a long time. Prison would not give me back what they had taken. It would not rebuild my relationships or restore my sense of safety. But consequences, clear and documented consequences, might stop them from ever doing this again, to me or anyone else. I want a meeting. Me, them, their lawyer if they have one, and the detective present. I have terms, and if they agree, I will not press charges. But if they refuse, I want every single charge filed. 2 hours later, I sat across a table from my parents in an interrogation room at the police station. They looked smaller than I remembered, older. My mother's makeup was smudged from crying. My father would not make eye contact. Here are my terms, I said, my voice steady. You sign a quitclaim deed immediately, giving up any claim to my property forever. You pay me $15,000 for my legal costs, my stolen money, damages, and the stress you have caused. You sign a written confession admitting to everything you did. You apologize publicly to the family you turned against me, and you never contact me again unless I initiate it. If you violate any of these terms, I release all evidence to the police and pursue full criminal prosecution. My father tried to negotiate. We do not have $15,000 right now. The condo repairs and legal fees. You have until the end of the week to get it. Sell something. Take a loan. I do not care. But you will pay me what you owe. My mother finally spoke, her voice small. We just wanted security in our retirement. We were scared of running out of money. You had $150,000. You made bad choices. That does not give you the right to steal from me. The detective interrupted. You have 60 seconds to decide. After that, I file charges, and you go through the system the hard way. My father and mother looked at each other. Some silent communication passed between them. Then, finally, my father nodded. We agree. Right there, with the detective as witness, they signed everything. The quitclaim deed, the confession, the agreement to pay $15,000 by Friday. They wrote it all out in their own handwriting, signed and dated. When it was done, the detective looked at me. You are free to go, all of you. If they violate this agreement, call me immediately, and we will pursue charges. Otherwise, this matter is resolved. I walked out of that police station with legal documents proving my house was mine, with a confession that cleared my name, and with a settlement that would help me rebuild. My parents left in shame, knowing that their manipulation had failed and their lies had been exposed. Connor and Grace were waiting in the parking lot. Connor looked terrified, like he expected me to hate him forever. Grace looked relieved, like a weight had been lifted. Thank you, I said to both of them, for choosing the truth. Grace hugged me tightly. I am so sorry it took me so long. Connor could not look at me. I do not expect you to forgive me. I do not forgive you yet, I said honestly, but I am grateful you told the truth when it mattered. That is a start. The following week moved like a strange dream. My parents delivered the $15,000 check on Thursday, one day before the deadline. They did not speak to me when they handed it over. Just left it in an envelope with the detective at the police station for me to collect. I deposited the money and immediately used some of it to pay off my overdraft fees and restore my bank account. The rest went into savings for the legal fees I would need to clean up the mess they had created with my mortgage company and insurance. The mortgage investigation was resolved quickly once I provided all the evidence. The investigator called to apologize for the stress their inquiry had caused and restored my account to full standing. My insurance company reinstated my policy after reviewing the quitclaim deed and confession. Grace and Connor became fixtures in my life again, though the relationship was different now, damaged. We were rebuilding trust slowly, carefully, like I had rebuilt this house. Connor started therapy to deal with the guilt and the years of manipulation he had endured. Grace worked extra hours to save for Emma's college fund without my parents' money. The hardest part was watching the family react to the truth. My parents had sent the required apology letters to every relative who had heard their lies. Some people apologized to me immediately. Aunt Linda called crying, begging forgiveness for believing the worst of me. Cousin Bethany deleted her social media posts and sent me a long message explaining that she had only heard one side of the story. But some relatives never apologized. They just quietly stopped mentioning it, like they could pretend they had never turned on me. Those relationships stayed broken, and I learned to be okay with that. Patricia flew in from Oregon 3 weeks later, not for a court case but for coffee. We sat in my kitchen, two women who had survived the same predator, and talked for hours about narcissistic abuse and family manipulation and the courage it takes to tell the truth when everyone wants you to be quiet. "You did the right thing," Patricia said, "not just for yourself, but for everyone else she might have hurt in the future. You stopped her." Did I? Or did I just stop her from hurting me specifically? You documented everything. You got confessions. You created a paper trail. If she ever tries this again with someone else, there is now proof of her pattern of behavior. That matters more than you know. I started a blog about my experience. I did not use real names, but I wrote honestly about family abuse, about financial manipulation, about the difficulty of setting boundaries with parents who believe they own you. The response was overwhelming. Hundreds of people reached out with similar stories. Adult children who had been guilted and manipulated and stolen from by the people who were supposed to love them most. I became an accidental advocate, helping people understand that family abuse is still abuse, that you do not owe your parents your entire life just because they raised you, that saying no to unreasonable demands is not selfishness, it is survival. My house became even more beautiful over the following months. I finished the attic renovation I had been planning, turning it into a reading nook with big windows overlooking the neighborhood. I installed a garden in the backyard, planting vegetables and flowers that would bloom in the spring. Every improvement felt like a declaration. This is mine. I built this. Nobody can take it from me. 6 months after that terrible 48-hour deadline, Connor and Grace came over for dinner with their families. Connor's daughter drew pictures on my kitchen table while Grace's son played with building blocks in the living room. We laughed and told stories and carefully avoided mentioning our parents. "Have you heard from them?" Grace asked quietly while the kids were in the other room. "They sent a letter last month, asking if we could talk, trying to reconcile." "What did you do?" I threw it away. "I am not ready, and I might never be ready. They need to accept that their actions have permanent consequences." Do you think that makes us bad people? For cutting off our parents? I thought about it carefully. I think it makes us healthy people. They hurt us. They manipulated us. They tried to destroy my life for their own convenience. We do not owe them our continued presence just because they are our parents. Love is not obligation, it is choice, and I choose not to let them hurt me anymore. The truth is, I learned something crucial through this nightmare. I learned that boundaries are not cruelty. I learned that protecting yourself is not selfishness. I learned that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is say no, even when saying no feels like betrayal. My parents tried to take my house because they thought I was weak. They thought my divorce had broken me, that I would crumble under pressure, that I was an easy target. But they did not understand what building this house had taught me. Every wall I constructed made me stronger. Every floor I refinished taught me patience. Every problem I solved proved I was capable of far more than I believed. They wanted my house, but what they really wanted was proof that I was still the scared, controlled daughter they could manipulate. And when I refused to be that person anymore, when I stood up and fought back with evidence and truth and boundaries, I became someone they could not recognize, someone they could not control. The house stands as my testimony. Every room tells a story of survival, of rebuilding, of refusing to be destroyed by people who should have protected me. When I walk through these rooms now, I do not just see paint and wood and carefully chosen fixtures. I see proof that I can survive anything. I see strength I did not know I had. I see a future I built with my own hands. My parents thought they could take 48 hours and steal my entire life. Instead, those 48 hours taught me exactly who I am and what I am capable of. They taught me that justice is possible, that truth matters, that standing up for yourself is worth the cost. I am not grateful for what they did. I would not wish this experience on anyone, but I am grateful for who I became while fighting them. I am grateful for the siblings who chose truth over convenience. I am grateful for the strangers like Patricia who offered help when they did not have to. I am grateful for every person who heard my story and believed me when others would not. This house is mine, legally, morally, and spiritually mine. I earned it through years of work and healing. I defended it through documentation and courage. And I will live in it, free from manipulation and abuse, for as long as I choose. That is the lesson I want to share. Family abuse is real. Financial manipulation is real. And you have the right to protect yourself, even from the people who raised you. You have the right to build a life that is yours alone, to create boundaries that keep you safe, to say no without guilt or shame. Your life is yours. Your home is yours. Your peace is yours. And nobody, not even family, has the right to take that from you. Have you ever had to set boundaries with family members who did not respect you? How did you handle it? I would love to hear your stories in the comments. Your experience might help someone else who is struggling right now. If this story resonated with you, please consider liking this video and subscribing to hear more stories about surviving family challenges. And if you know someone who needs to hear this message, please share this with them. Sometimes knowing you are not alone makes all the difference. Thank you for listening to my story, and I hope you find the courage to protect your own peace, whatever that looks like for you. May you always have the strength to build the life you deserve and the wisdom to defend it when necessary.